Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior, and welcome to the first of what will be many God of War History of videos coming to the channel. I am very excited to bring you all this new series, and tell you all the tale of the Ghost of Sparta, Kratos. This video will dive into the mysteries surrounding his birth, his clash with the Furies, his ascension to godhood, his war against Olympus, and finally his escape to Midgard. Now this video will cover a number of different aspects of the character's story, thus focusing largely on his journey from his perspective all the way up until God of War 4. Now, this video is largely designed to get you all up to date with Kratos as a character before the release of God of War Ragnarok. I know many of us, including myself, missed the opportunity to play the original trilogy of games during their prime.
I found it. It's this one we're talking about, no? I give up. I actually give up. I'm gonna snap. I want in this one. No. That's it. It's 40 minutes. This guy looks pretty good. Early chat said Subjective Gaming did a pretty good one on it. Boom, done. I think this is fair enough.
Hello chat, are you ready for God of War 1 tap gameplay Kappa?
Okay. This is what I'm watching. I don't give a fuck. Check part 1. We won't have enough time. It's only part 1. We don't have enough time. Or this one. Other has more likes. There is no shot. You just said that. Ah, this one right here.
With the upcoming
Please watch it at 1.5x speed.
This
series
one.
Protagonist Kratos taking on a new mythological foe. So we here at Suggestive Gaming figured now would be a good time to go over Kratos' first set of opposition, the Greek Pantheon. So
Oh, the 1 hour one has comics and shit. I don't give a fuck about that. I just want to know the story of Kratos. That's it. I don't care. I think that one was fine. Wrong again. You want it? The 1 hour one apparently has like some trash in it. I don't care for it. Chat's trolling, bro, dude. All I want to do is watch a video, and then here we are. 10 minutes in, we don't know what the fuck's happening. Like 10 minutes in, we're gonna kill the video. Like hello. This one. This one. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Loki is not an easy character to remove from Norse mythology. When it comes to the storytelling devices of the 9th and 10th century Vikings, Loki was a primary one, as the god of mischief's lust for conflict was often used as the tool to shake up the natural order of things. Loki's actions were responsible for the feuds and even deaths of many gods and giants, creation of the cosmos' greatest monsters, and is seen leading the charge against the gods of Asgard during the final battle at the end of everything, Ragnarok. The etymology of his name points to the Germanic word "lok," which denoted things to do with loops, like knots or locks. He is the character that tangles plots and complicates relationships. Renowned master of Norse myths, Kevin Crossley Holland, writes that without the exciting, unstable, flawed figure of Loki, there could be no change in the fixed order of things, no quickening pulse, and no Ragnarok. Loki is the catalyst for change in Norse mythology, and so any attempt to remove him from the stories would require an enormous amount of rerouting of the events to cover up the holes left in his absence. And yet, this is exactly what the writing team over at Santa Monica Studios have managed to achieve in their original Norse-based adventure colossus, God of War.
Look at that. It's Thor.
Thor, god of thunder.
That's right. I never thought you listened when Mother spoke of the gods.
I seldom did.
God of War's story follows Kratos, an ex-general demigod from Sparta, and his son Atreus, as they take the ashes of Kratos' late wife and mother to Atreus, Faye, to the highest peak in all the realms.
This is incredible!
The journey pushes and pulls the two all across the cosmology of Norse myth, where they encounter almost the entire pantheon of Norse characters.
It's the world serpent. He's so much bigger than I imagined.
But while there is a special emphasis placed on the discovery and retelling of these ancient Norse stories,
That's just, chat, this is, I see only footage in there of the 2018 God of War. Does that entail all the other games as well or not? Because otherwise it's gonna odd.
the myths are being sent off in directions different to the source material. And this is because the character of
Okay, I'm keeping this buck. I should give up. Actual black mold, like legitimate. Okay. Otherwise,
From his madness, he must kill those who keep his body.
7 minutes. You want in 7 minutes? That's pretty quick. There are 20 minutes once with the entire series. You've had weeks to do this. I don't give a fuck. I thought it'd be simple to just click a video, but apparently it's not. Apparently it's not. Also, this one
With the upcoming God of War for PS
has like everything in it. Literally everything in it.
PS4, we see series protagonist. Our story begins with the primordials, the
There
very
you go.
first beings to come into
So easy. Boom. Chat. What was this award? Look how easy this is. This is literally easy.
exist start to finish. You need to know about the entire original God of War saga, from start to finish. Our story begins with the primordials, the very first beings to come into existence, fighting for control of their creation, Earth. This war ravished the world, and eventually the three Furies were born from the rage and power of the battle. The Furies were then tasked to honor oaths between the various beings of Earth. Their first victim was the Hecatoncheires, Aegeon, who had broken an oath to one of the first gods, Zeus. To make an example of Aegeon, the Furies petrify his body into the prison of the damned for anyone who dared to break an oath in the future. Eventually, the Furies began to take guidance from the god of war, Ares, who convinced them to join him in a siege on Olympus. Believing their forces to be too weak, the queen of the Furies, Alecto, birthed a son with Ares, hoping to create a powerful warrior. This warrior, Orcos, proved to be a failure in Ares' eyes and was disowned. However, the Furies decided to use him as their oath keeper. With Ares still in search for his warrior to help take over Olympus, Zeus hears of a prophecy foretelling his death at the hands of one of his sons, a marked warrior. Ares is then tasked to find and dispose of this threat. Ares discovers Deimos, a young Spartan who bore a birthmark all over his body, and storms the city to capture him. During the kidnapping, Deimos' brother, another young Spartan by the name of Kratos, attempts to stop the god, but he is struck down, leaving a scar over his right eye. Ares attempts to kill Kratos for this, but his sister, Athena, the goddess of war, convinces him to spare the boy. Deimos is then taken to the god of death, Thanatos, to prevent the prophecy and protect Zeus. Kratos, tortured by his inability to save his brother, vows to never fail like that again and tattoos a replica of Deimos' birthmark on himself in remembrance. Kratos' rage and pain remained with him as he became a leading member of the Spartan army, eventually marrying a Spartan woman named Lysandra, and the two have a daughter whom they name Calliope. Calliope unfortunately contracts a plague, which infects her skin and causes the Spartan authorities to decide for her to be thrown into a chasm and left to die. Kratos then sets off to find the cure for her disease, a mysterious element with the exceptional healing abilities called ambrosia. Unbeknownst to Kratos, the gods had a wager in which they selected various heroes whom they believed would be the first to obtain the ambrosia. Kratos was chosen by Ares, likely due to their prior run-in in which Kratos displayed his resilience and bravery. After battling the other gods' selected heroes, Kratos fights a climactic battle with an army of barbarians and their leader Ulrich, who was trying to retrieve the ambrosia to heal his own father. Kratos eventually bests Ulrich and captures the ambrosia, but at the cost of many of his men. Upon returning to Sparta, Kratos heals his daughter, and the king of Sparta bestows on him the title of captain. As captain of the Spartan army, Kratos leads his men to many victorious battles, often slaying scores of enemies with an increasing hunger for power, despite the wishes of his wife. Eventually, Kratos comes across a familiar enemy, the barbarian King Ulrich, who still blames Kratos for his father's death. Kratos and his army are no match for the rebuilt barbarian army, and Kratos, moments away from death at the hands of Ulrich, calls out to Ares in desperation. Ares, seeing a candidate to overthrow Olympus, accepts Kratos' offer of loyalty and kills the barbarians in exchange. He then gives Kratos the Blades of Chaos, symbolizing his servitude to the god of war. Under Ares' loyalty, Kratos slays many innocents, razes villages, and spreads chaos in the name of him. Under Ares' influence, Kratos slowly loses his humanity with every battle fought for the god. Soon, Kratos is tasked to raid a village of Athena's followers due to Ares' jealousy of Athena, whom their father Zeus favored. There, he encounters an oracle who warns Kratos of dark things awaiting him inside the city's temple. Kratos ignores this warning and enters the temple, blindly slaughtering those inside. However, afterwards, Kratos comes to realize that those inside the temple were none other than his beloved wife Lysandra and daughter Calliope. Ares reveals that he had transported them there secretly in order to sever Kratos' human ties and create the perfect warrior. Kratos leaves the bodies of his family inside the temple to burn, and as he exits, the oracle curses him, binding the ashes of his wife and child to Kratos' skin, forcing him to wear another reminder of his failures and turning him into the ghost of Sparta.
Damn,
Kratos then
good
renounces
lore.
his allegiance to Ares and breaks his oath, causing the Furies to hunt him down and torture him with endless illusions. Kratos then finds himself trapped in an illusion of his former home in Sparta. Orcos appears before him and helps him break the illusion using Lysandra's necklace and ring. Orcos then convinces Kratos to seek out Aletheia, the oracle at Delphi. He finds the oracle captured, but is unable to prevent her from being mortally wounded. Before her death, she informs Kratos that the only way he can be free of his oath to Ares would be to slay the oath's enforcers, the Three Furies. Kratos returns to Orcos, who informs him of Ares' true intentions all along to use him to overthrow Zeus. With this knowledge, Kratos travels to Delos to slay the Furies. Upon his arrival, however, he is ambushed and captured by them, and they proceed to torture him in the prison of the damned. After 2 weeks of torture, one of the Furies leaves an opening for Kratos to exploit and escape his imprisonment. After various battles and illusions, Kratos is able to outsmart and outfight the Furies, slaying all 3 of them. After the death of the Furies, Kratos returns to his home in Sparta, where he finds Orcos, who reveals to Kratos that while he had killed the Furies, they transferred Kratos' oath to him, keeping the bond with Ares intact. Orcos hands Kratos his blade and asks him for an honorable death in order to permanently end Ares' hold on them. Kratos complies, killing Orcos and burning his home with the former Oathkeeper's body still inside. No longer under servitude to Ares, Kratos dedicates his life to serving the gods of Olympus as their trusted warrior. After defeating an invading Persian army for the gods, Kratos appears before them to ask for his next task. Suddenly, however, he sees the sun fall from the sky, enveloping the world in darkness. Kratos follows the last trace of light he can see to the temple of Helios. After speaking to Athena, Kratos concludes that Helios had been captured, allowing the god of dreams Morpheus to entrance other gods into a deep sleep, allowing him to take control of Greece. Inside the temple, Ios, Helios' sister, tasks Kratos to awaken her brother's fire steeds in order to find him. In return, she promises to relieve Kratos of his nightmares, which haunt him in the form of a melody his daughter used to play on her flute. He does this, and the steeds take him to Helios' location, the Underworld. There, he meets Charon, the ferryman on the river Styx, who ultimately denies Kratos passage, as it is not his time. Kratos engages him, but is knocked unconscious and thrown into Tartarus, the darkest depths of the underworld where the Titans had been chained by Zeus. Upon waking, Kratos witnesses Atlas' chains broken and the Titan missing. Kratos fights his way through Tartarus, eventually climbing out to confront Charon once again. After defeating him, Kratos uses his ferry to follow Helios' light down the river.
Of course, we don't remember all the small details, but I think the main lines, like how he got his tattoos and shit like that, and I think it's necessary, especially the blades and shit.
Sticks to a temple. There, Kratos sees his daughter upon the shore. He follows her inside, but instead finds Persephone, the queen of the underworld. Persephone reveals to Kratos that he can meet his daughter once again, and she is now residing in the Elysium Fields. Persephone tells Kratos that to see his daughter, he must make a sacrifice, to give up all of his weapons and powers given to him by the gods. Kratos does this, transferring his powers into the Forsaken Tree, and regains his humanity. He reunites with his daughter, but the reunion is interrupted by Persephone, who reveals her true intentions.
Oh my god.
She reveals that it was her who released Atlas, whom she tasked with destroying the pillar that holds the earth. She intends for this to kill everyone, including herself, to free her from her imprisonment by Hades as his wife. Kratos painfully makes the decision to give up his ability to see his daughter and regains his weapons from the tree. Doing this, he once again becomes the ghost of Sparta, and against his daughter's wishes, takes off to stop Persephone. Kratos finds the queen at the base of the pillar, and she carries him to the top. There, the two engage in a final battle. During this battle, Persephone attempts to confuse Kratos and convince him to return to Elysium to be with his daughter. Kratos resists this, however, and Persephone orders Atlas to take care of him. Atlas does not get this chance, however, as Kratos chains the Titan to the ceiling of the underworld and returns to Persephone, besting her in battle and killing her. Her body explodes, destroying the pillar and leaving Atlas as the only thing holding the world together. Atlas, though defeated, taunts Kratos as he remains a slave to the gods. Kratos accepts this fate, as he can only hope that serving the gods will cause them to one day free him from his nightmares. Atlas then predicts to Kratos that they will meet again before Kratos leaves to return Helios to the sky. Weak, and now knowing that his sins will never allow him to see his daughter again, Kratos falls from the chariot, landing on a cliff overlooking the Aegean Sea. Sometime after waking, Kratos is sent into the sea to kill a Hydra and return peace to the waters. After doing so, he is approached by Athena, who asks Kratos to save her city, Athens, from her brother Ares, whose army is currently advancing. Kratos, seeing an opportunity to get revenge on Ares, agrees on the condition that the gods free him of his nightmares once and for all, as well as offer him a chance at redemption. Kratos enters Athens to find the town's oracle, who tells him that in order for a mortal to defeat a god, he must seek the power of Pandora's box, which is locked inside a temple constructed on the back of the titan Kronos, who Zeus cursed to wander the desert of lost souls for eternity. Kratos makes his way to the temple, encountering a mysterious gravedigger on the way. Inside the temple, Kratos solves several puzzles in order to find Pandora's box. However, Ares senses this and throws a pillar from Athens, impaling Kratos and killing him. Ares then arrives and steals the box as Kratos dies and returns to the underworld. However, with help from the gravedigger, who refers to Kratos as my child, he is able to climb from Hades and return to Athens. There, he opens Pandora's box and gains the power to confront Ares. After a battle, Ares tortures Kratos by forcing him to relive his family's death at his hands. Kratos resists this, however, and Ares is forced to strip the Blades of Chaos from Kratos' arms and kills the illusions of his family in front of him. Freed from the illusion, Kratos finds a nearby sword being used as an ornamental bridge and uses it to kill the god of war. The gods praise Kratos for killing the rebelling Ares. Kratos then asks Athena to finally free him of his nightmares. Athena then finally reveals to Kratos that while she can forgive his sins, his nightmares will stay with him forever. Kratos, feeling abandoned by the gods, climbs back to the cliffs overlooking the Aegean Sea, and feeling death as his only escape, throws himself off. However, Athena stops him at the bottom, claiming that
Okay, link it. Okay, whatever, bro. Just link it. Jesus, man. It's, dude. Anybody's got it handy or what? I mean, guys, it's the best part, man. Okay, I'm looking. I'm not ruining the meme. Relax. I'll find it myself.
Athena stops him at the bottom, claiming that there is now an empty throne upon Olympus. Kratos then enters a portal and claims his throne as the new god of war. Still haunted by his memories, Kratos decides to explore his past against Athena's wishes. He makes his way to the Temple of Poseidon in Atlantis. Poseidon attempts to stop Kratos, but he defeats his defenses and reaches the city. There, Kratos finds, much to his surprise, his mother, Callisto, dying on the ground. She reveals to him that his father is the one who brought her there, and that his brother Deimos is still alive but does not have much time. Before dying, she tells Kratos to seek out his brother in Sparta. Kratos then departs Atlantis, but not before encountering the Titan Thera, whom he frees, destroying the city in a flood. Kratos returns to Sparta, but on his way encounters and kills Thanatos' daughter, Erinyes. Upon his arrival to the city, he is praised by its inhabitants, led by a young Spartan who gives Kratos his arms from when he was the commander of the Spartan army. Kratos goes to the Temple of Ares, and after encountering a spirit-like vision of his younger self, he learns that he must return to Atlantis to find Death's domain. Upon returning, however, Kratos is stopped by a statue of Poseidon, inhabited by the god, who warns him that he will pay for sinking the kingdom of Atlantis. Kratos avoids the statue and makes his way through the ruins of the city, eventually coming across the gravedigger once again, who cryptically warns Kratos not to alienate the gods. Kratos then finds the gateway to Death's domain. Inside, Kratos finds and frees his brother, who becomes enraged at him for seemingly forgetting about him for all this time. Thanatos arrives and intervenes, capturing Deimos and bringing him to the same cliff Kratos attempted to kill himself from. Kratos saves his brother and the two reconcile. Kratos gives Deimos his arms, and the two fight Thanatos together. During the battle, Thanatos kills Deimos, and Kratos avenges his brother by finally killing the god of death. A broken Kratos then carries his brother up the mountain, where the gravedigger has prepared a grave for him. Kratos ponders what he has become, and the gravedigger answers, Death, the destroyer of worlds. Athena appears before him and attempts to elevate him to a full god. Kratos stops her, however, and returns to Olympus, claiming that the gods will pay for what they have done to Kratos and his family. As he leaves, Athena mythically refers to him as
lore,
brother.
for sure.
The gravedigger then buries Callisto next to Deimos and proclaims upon a third grave that now only one.
Why? So can we assume then that he didn't become a full god because he hates the gods, and if he's a full god, he's one of them then?
Remains, as Kratos returns to his throne and plans his next move against the gods, leading his Spartan army to conquer Greece. After launching this attack, Athena pleads with Kratos to stop. He claims to owe her nothing, and turns his back on her to assist his army in the town of Rhodes. There he spots an eagle, whom he believes to be Athena in disguise, whom robs him of his godly abilities, and instead infuses them into the Colossus of Rhodes, who comes to life and tries to kill Kratos. Zeus arrives and offers Kratos the Blade of Olympus, which he once used to win the Great War between the gods and the Titans. Zeus urges Kratos to infuse the blades with his remaining godly powers, which renders him mortal once again, but allows him to destroy the Colossus from the inside. Upon doing this, however, Kratos is crushed by the Colossus' severed hand. Determining that he must retrieve the Blade of Olympus to get his immortality back, he slowly makes his way over to it, only to be stopped by Zeus, who reveals himself to be the eagle that stole Kratos' power, in an attempt to kill him to stop him from overthrowing Zeus as he did with Ares. Zeus then stabs Kratos, killing him. While he is being dragged into the underworld once more, the mother of the Titans, Gaia, saves him and reveals that Kronos, Zeus' father, ate all of his children in an attempt to stop the prophecy that he would die at the hands of one of his sons. Zeus' mother, however, hid him on an island that was actually Gaia. Gaia raised the boy, but he grew vengeful and eventually sought to defeat the Titans, which he did by using the Blade of Olympus. Gaia offers to help Kratos exact revenge on the King of Olympus. Gaia gives Kratos the magical horse Pegasus, and he escapes the underworld to find the Sisters of Fate in order to change his past and kill Zeus. Kratos flies to the Island of Creation, and after besting several powerful foes, including a risen Ulrich, he comes across Icarus, whom he strips of his wings, plummeting below the earth and landing upon Atlas. Originally refusing to help Kratos, still holding begrudgment over his imprisonment at the Spartans' hands, Atlas is eventually persuaded to help him kill Zeus. Atlas helps Kratos return to the surface, where he awakens the Phoenix and flies to the temple.
It's weird that every name that was named in there, right, because of like culture, whatever, even though I've never looked into any of this shit, I know all of them.
Of the fates.
Richard channels all of them too, like Icarus,
there
Thanatos,
he expresses
like
his wishes, but the sisters deny him passage. Kratos then confronts the youngest sisters, Lachesis and Atropos, who attempt to take him back to his battle with Ares and force him to die by the god's hand in the past. He avoids this effort and traps the sisters in a mirror, then destroying it to seal them away for eternity. Kratos then makes his way to the eldest sister, Clotho, who operates the Loom of Fate. Kratos kills the final sister and takes control of the loom to change his fate. He turns the thread of fate back to his death at the hands of Zeus and saves his past self by reclaiming the Blade of Olympus before Zeus has a chance to. The two then engage in a battle until Zeus stuns Kratos with a lightning storm. Kratos plays possum and pins Zeus before driving the Blade of Olympus into the god's chest. Before he can kill him, however, Athena appears and intervenes to protect Olympus. Zeus attempts to escape, Kratos lunges at him with the blade, and Athena sacrifices herself by jumping in front of it, saving her father. Kratos asks Athena why she would do this, and she reveals that she did it to allow Zeus to stop the cycle of sons killing their fathers, finally revealing that Kratos is in fact a son of Zeus. Vowing to destroy Olympus, Kratos returns to the loom and turns back time all the way to the Great War. He calls out to Gaia and they return to Kratos' time, where an injured Zeus is calling on his fellow gods to kill Kratos. The Titan army, led by Kratos, then storm Olympus with the intent to win the Great War once and for all. The Titans and gods wage a very intense and bloody battle as Poseidon begins to take on Gaia. Kratos draws him into Gaia's grasp and is able to weaken him, eventually knocking him onto a platform and beating him before gouging his eyes out and snapping his neck, killing him and flooding the entire world. Kratos and the Titans then make it to the top of Olympus and confront Zeus, who, anticipating their arrival, hits them with a blast of lightning, damages Gaia, and knocks her and Kratos off the mountain. Attempting to hang on, Kratos is then betrayed by Gaia, who lets him fall as he is no longer a use to them now that they have reached Zeus' throne. After falling once again to his death, Kratos makes his way through the river Styx, lamenting that he was used as a pawn by both the gods and the Titans. He then reunites with a reformed Athena, who is willing to help Kratos from her new level of existence. He then realizes the goal of his final quest, extinguishing the flame of Olympus in order to finally defeat Zeus. To do this, however, he must find Pandora, the child of Pandora's box's namesake. Kratos makes his way through Hades and eventually finds Hades' palace, and the dead body of Persephone. Hades arrives and the two battle before Kratos defeats the god, sealing his soul into his own weapons. Kratos then escapes Hades through a gate and encounters Helios, whose head Kratos proceeds to rip off. He then encounters Hermes, who he kills, and later his own half-brother Hercules, whom he also kills. Kratos meets with Aphrodite and her husband Hephaestus in order to find their daughter Pandora. Hephaestus refuses to lead Kratos to her, however, and reveals that after Kratos opened Pandora's box, Zeus became overcome with fear and forced Hephaestus to reveal to the creation of the key of the box, which later took on a life of its own as a girl whom he named Pandora. Zeus then took Pandora and banished Hephaestus. Kratos urges Hephaestus, who tasks him with retrieving the Omphalos stone in order to make a weapon to allow Kratos to find Pandora. In his attempt to find the stone, Kratos comes across Kronos, who assumes he has tried to kill Gaia and attacks him. Kratos fights Kronos and eventually frees the temple from the Titan's body before he eats Kratos. Inside his stomach, Kratos retrieves the Omphalos stone and cuts his way out and kills Kronos once and for all. Kratos confronts Hephaestus, who reveals that he was trying to send him on a suicide mission. Hephaestus attempts to feign innocence before trying to kill Kratos instead. Kratos shakes this off and kills him by impaling him on his own anvil before heading off to retrieve Pandora. Kratos' quest takes him to the gardens of Olympus, where he finds Hera, the wife of Zeus, drunken and belligerent. After making his way through the gardens, Hera confronts Kratos once again, insulting Pandora and causing Kratos to lash out and snap her neck. causing all plant life to die. Kratos makes it to the labyrinth and finds Daedalus, the labyrinth's architect. Trapped inside, Daedalus claims that Zeus promised him that he would have his son Icarus back once he completed the labyrinth. Kratos reveals that Icarus was in fact dead before activating a trap and killing the architect. Inside the labyrinth, Kratos finds Pandora and takes her with him. In the flame of Olympus's chamber, Kratos raises the labyrinth to access Pandora's box. However, Kratos refuses to let Pandora sacrifice her life, as he does not want to cause her death as he did his own daughters. She chooses to embrace her fate, however, and breaks free, only to be stopped by Zeus. Zeus mocks Kratos for showing care for Pandora as if she was his own, and tosses her aside before engaging in battle with his son once again. During the battle, Pandora attempts to run into the flame in order to put it out before Kratos grabs her to stop her. Pandora pleads with Kratos.
Dude, I don't have ADD, ADHD. Every time I zone out, I feel like I'm like 80 years behind, like 3 games and like 4 books behind, man.
Kratos to let her seal her fate, and Zeus provokes him by telling him not to fail Pandora like he did his own family. Kratos reluctantly lets her go, and the flame of Olympus is extinguished.
Story's not
In
trash,
the wake,
though.
Kratos opens Pandora's box once again, only to find that it is now empty. Zeus mocks his son once again, and the two meet outside and gaze upon the destruction Kratos has caused. The two are interrupted by Gaia, however, and she tries to kill them both. The two then enter a wound in Gaia's chest and fight beside her heart, draining the life out of it. Kratos, powered by the heart of Gaia, then impales Zeus into it with the blade of Olympus, finally killing both Gaia and his father Zeus. Awakening upon a broken earth, Kratos finds Zeus's body and retrieves the blade. However, as he tries to leave, Zeus's spirit attacks Kratos and drains him of his anger and willpower, replacing it with fear and loss, the forces that plagued his father. Trapped in his psyche and once again being tortured by his memories, the spirit of Pandora appears and helps Kratos abolish these torments through hope. Kratos returns to the physical world and forces Zeus's spirit back into his body. Kratos then charges him and beats him to death with his bare hands, finally killing him and destroying Olympus for good. Afterwards, Athena appears once more and congratulates Kratos, asking him to turn over the power he found inside Pandora's box so she can finally give it to mankind. Kratos laments that the world is destroyed, and anything she would have to give would be useless. More so, the box was empty, and Kratos believed Pandora had died in vain, simply another casualty in his quest for vengeance. Athena reveals to Kratos that when the evils of the Titans were first sealed into the box, she placed the most powerful weapon in the world beside them to counteract them, the power of hope. Athena had initially believed that when Kratos opened the box for the first time, all of its evils had transferred unto him, and hope was lost, when in actuality the evils went to the gods on Olympus and hope was buried deep in Kratos under his pains. Only upon forgiving himself was the power able to release inside of him. Kratos, realizing he has nothing left to live for, impales himself with the blade of Olympus, freeing the power of hope into the mortal world. Athena is angered by this and tells Kratos that she is disappointed, to which he responds with a final laugh before she removes the blade, leaving him to die. Sometime later, we see the mural where Kratos' body once was, now abandoned, with nothing but a trail of blood leading to the great sea that now enveloped the world.
Wait, but what does it matter if the world has hope if nobody's around anymore?
Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching what has become the biggest What You Need to Know yet. We appreciate all of you. Sometime after bringing an end to the reign of the god...
That makes actually no sense. Also, how much time until the game comes out? Hold up. Open up, bitch ass. Game? Hold up, chat, I'm just making sure. 50 minutes? This is 40. PS5? Hello? Dude, there's one thing that I hate, okay? It's PS4 and PS5's dog shit thing, where if anything happens, oh, the console is mad. It won't turn on anymore. What the fuck is happening with it? Oh, because I have it on over there. Oh, it's exclusive. Because I'm forcing OBS to pick it up, it's not appearing on the mirror. So I have to delete it. Oh, look. Aha. "48 minutes. Okay, boys, here it comes. Can't believe it's going that fast though. Time is flying. The colors are off. Wait, Also, sound is off. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be using that, chat. I think we're gonna be using. I'll deactivate this. I think we're just gonna use the capture card itself. Let's finish the video first, though. Let's make sure this is actually gonna work, though. So this will still work. Are the colors off here, though? Thoughts? Man, this music kind of goes hard. It's darker. Source, it's in HDR, is that why? Picture. How do you take off HDR? People say it's fine. Chat, the colors look fine to me. Apparently I got one guide. Okay, I'm getting one guide. Well, we will finish this up. Alright, let's try to spin out this video.
Gods of Olympus, Kratos awakens to find himself denied of the comforts of death, and instead cursed to walk the earth as punishment for his deeds. Soon the blades of chaos return to him, and he attempts to throw them into the sea, only to find them mysteriously return to him after a night's sleep. Hoping to escape from his past to at least find some kind of solitude in his eternal punishment, Kratos sets sail to new lands, again attempting to rid himself of the blades. When Kratos reaches shore, he passes out, and when he awakens, he finds the blades waiting for him once again. He discards them again before coming across a village, where he is
at the game store early because I'm in New Zealand, and the game goes early there, and that's why we're getting it. I don't have any favors from the game itself.
Met by the inhabitants with fear. He soon learns from an old man that his legend as the Ghost of Sparta and the God of War is known in this land of the pharaohs. The man warns Kratos that he cannot escape his destiny, but Kratos simply knocks him aside and walks off. Kratos continues walking, sleeplessly, to avoid the blade's return. As days turn into months, Kratos eventually succumbs to his slumber and awakens again to find the blades of chaos before him.
Chat, I think I'm gonna skip the comics. I don't really give a fuck. Unless there's something crazy in this, I'm skipping the comics. I don't give a shit. No? Okay.
Refusing to allow his past to keep up with him, Kratos again leaves the blades behind and continues his trek, being taunted by various talking animals along the way who warn him of his destiny that lies ahead. Again, Kratos is overcome by exhaustion and passes out, finding Athena waiting for him in his dreams. The goddess tells Kratos that the two of them are not yet through with each other, and instructs him to return to his home and fulfill his purpose. Kratos then awakens, unsurprised to find the blades of chaos return to him once again. However, Kratos is surprised to find the old man from the village now before him, who instructs him to pick up the blades to prepare for battle, as the hour he will be needed is fast approaching. Kratos defiantly throws the blades aside again and continues walking, eventually reaching the same village he left months ago. While Kratos is confused at how he circled back to the village, he is soon distracted by the villagers, who are again fearful, but not of him this time. Instead, they beg for his help in fighting the giant Chaos Beast, which soon attacks the village. The villagers and the mysteriously present old man surmise that their prayers to the gods summoned Kratos back. Angered at the thought of the gods controlling him once again, Kratos refuses to help. The villagers run to escape the beast, and Kratos turns to find that the old man has vanished, as the creature advances towards him. Kratos gives in and fights the Chaos Beast, defeating it with his bare hands. Afterwards, the villagers return, but tremble in fear once again, running off while screaming of a monster. Kratos, confused as the Chaos Beast is dead, turns to see the old man once again, who claims that the threat has not yet been defeated. He turns, and a much larger Chaos Beast emerges from the sea.
Oh.
The villagers beg Kratos to help them once again, but wanting to be left alone, he again simply walks away. The beast follows him, and an annoyed Kratos gives in, lunging at the monster to attack. The giant creature simply shrugs him off, sending Kratos crashing to the ground below, where the impact knocks him unconscious. In his dreams, Kratos finds Athena once again, this time accompanied by Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom, and the two tell Kratos that he must fulfill his purpose as it was written, instructing him to finally take the Blades of Chaos. Kratos tries to deny his fate, but Thoth, revealing himself to be the old man as well as all of the talking animals, simply tells the former god of war that much like in his homelands, in the land of the pharaohs, his destiny is already written and cannot be avoided. Kratos reluctantly succumbs to their reasoning and picks up the blades, awakening back in his battle, which he continues, finally emerging victorious and slaying the Chaos Beast. Exhausted from the battle, Kratos passes out once again, and Thoth states that his purpose in the land of the Pharaohs is complete, and his path will carry him to another land that needs him as well. Kratos, frustrated that he is still a slave to fate, but now knowing that there's nothing he can do about it, simply grabs the Blades of Chaos and continues walking, forced to relive his nightmares in his mind as he journeys towards his destiny, another new land. Decades later, Kratos has found his way to the land of the Norse gods, where he meets a woman named Faye, whom he marries and settles down with in a home in the Wild Woods region of the Midgard realm. The pair soon have a child, who Kratos gives the name Atreus, after a Spartan soldier he fought alongside long ago, and he decides to keep his status as a demigod a secret from the boy. Hoping to learn to control his rage, Kratos frequently ventures out into the woods, where he is attacked by the animals inside. Honing his anger, he learns to refrain from fighting back and instead simply deflect their attacks. However, he soon learns from a large troll that he still doesn't have full control over his emotions. One day, Faye leaves to go hunting, leaving Atreus and Kratos at home. Kratos instructs Atreus to stay behind and chop wood as he heads off to find another challenge for his rage control. He soon comes across a giant bear attacking an old man, and Kratos fails to control himself, violently killing the bear before walking off, blaming the old man for setting off the events that led to him losing control. He leaves him for dead, returning home as another group of men watch him pass through an illusionary wall cloaking his home. Kratos returns to find Atreus playing with toys instead of chopping the wood, but before he can scold the boy, the group of men arrive and begin to speak to Kratos in their tongue, which he cannot understand. Atreus translates and reveals that the men have come to take revenge on Kratos, blaming him for their brother's death. Kratos denies killing anyone, claiming that he only killed a beast, before the men transform into bear-like creatures themselves and engage in battle. Kratos defeats the creatures, killing one threatening Atreus with the axe the boy was to use to cut the wood. When another man threatens to go bring the rest of his clan to the house, Kratos chases him, bringing Atreus along. Frustrated at losing the man's trail, Kratos begins to feel his rage boiling inside, but he is able to control it, just as he tries to teach Atreus to control his own fear. Atreus suggests that the pair visit the Old Seer, who may know more about the clan of Beastmen. Kratos agrees, and Atreus leads the way. Once they arrive at her hut, Kratos speaks with the seer, who reveals that the men are known as berserkers, who receive their strength from their own fury, focusing it through a totem they worship. Kratos asks the location of the totem, and the seer only states that she can reveal the location through a ritual.
Did I miss anything important or not? Missed the sex scene. I don't give a fuck about missing a sex scene. I have sex in real life, bitch.
She must perform. Kratos and Atreus wait outside for her answer, and soon she shows them the way to the totem, warning Kratos that he must control his own anger in order to defeat the berserkers.
I was watching.
Kratos leaves Atreus with the seer and journeys to the berserkers' camp, where he finds their sacred totem. While Kratos initially tries to sneak past the sleeping berserkers to destroy their idol, one awakens and alerts the rest, as they transform into their bear-like forms. Kratos' rage immediately burns white-hot, and he attempts to fight the horde, only to find their own strength surpassing his. Finding himself unable to use his brute strength alone, Kratos remembers the seer's words and centers himself, controlling his rage and thinking quickly to destroy the totem, transforming the berserkers back to their human forms, who he is easily able to kill before burning their encampment to the ground. Back in the seer's hut, the old woman gives Atreus a mysterious knife, telling him he must use it soon. Before he can ask what she means, a berserker arrives in the hut and attacks the seer. Kratos arrives shortly after and snaps the man's neck, instantly killing him. As she lays dying, the seer asks Kratos to take care of her remains, before warning him that while he is able to defeat his enemies with ease, one day he'll have to conquer himself. Kratos exits the woman's hut, and he and Atreus build a funeral pyre for the seer's body. As they walk back home, Kratos tells his son, as well as himself, that from now on, he'll handle the fighting. Not too long after, a dying Fae asks Kratos to scatter her ashes at the highest peak in the Nine Realms. After she passes, Kratos uses her weapon, the Leviathan axe, to chop down a tree marked with her handprint to use for assembling her funeral pyre. While cremating Faye's body, Atreus notices her knife and grabs it, burning his hand in the process. Kratos nurses Atreus' wound, giving the boy his mother's knife. Knowing that now it is his sole responsibility to raise his son, Kratos takes Atreus hunting to prove himself. Atreus grabs his bow, and the pair go looking for deer while Faye's body burns.
Chat, this is very important, so I'm telling you guys to pay attention.
While Atreus finds a deer, he is unable to calm himself enough to hit it as it runs off. As the pair track the deer, they are attacked by undead draugrs, which Atreus notes have never come that close to their home before. After Kratos fights them off, the pair continue to chase after the deer, and when they find it, Kratos helps his son aim his bow to finally hit and take down their prey. As Kratos and Atreus run over to kill the deer, a giant troll attacks, forcing the father and son to fight it off. Kratos takes the creature down, with Atreus providing support with his bow. After Kratos kills the troll, Atreus runs over and slashes at its corpse, unleashing his own rage and frustration, which causes Kratos to believe he is not yet ready to carry his mother's remains to their destination, despite the boy's protest, claiming that his sickness won't hinder him. They return home, and Kratos collects Faye's ashes into a pouch, solemnly giving his wife one last goodbye. Inside their house, Kratos speaks with Atreus about controlling his anger to use it as a strength instead of a weakness, warning him that their path ahead will be difficult. The pair then hear a strange man outside, yelling at them to come out, as he knows what they are. Kratos hides Atreus under the floorboards before exiting the house to confront the man. The stranger comments that he thought Kratos would be bigger, before attempting to goad him into a fight. Kratos attempts to defuse the situation, but when the stranger refuses to leave, Kratos throws a punch. The stranger shrugs it off and delivers his own, powerfully propelling Kratos into the air and prompting a battle between the two. While the man has his own godlike powers along with an extreme resistance to pain, Kratos is able to hold his own. When the fight moves to the roof of Kratos' home, the stranger notices two beds inside and decides to investigate who Kratos is hiding inside. After trapping Kratos under a pile of rubble, the stranger advances towards the house, triggering the Spartan's rage and allowing him to rush at the man with the full extent of his godlike power. As the battle draws to a close, the stranger reveals that Odin, the Norse god and all-father, sent him—
I always thought this was massive, because this is the first time in the game where you can use the rage, right? I thought it was such a cool way to introduce like an ability in the game.
To find answers. He then reveals that he can't feel any of the pain Kratos is inflicting on him, forcing him to snap the stranger's neck before throwing him off a nearby cliff. Now knowing that their home is no longer safe, Kratos returns and collects Atreus, taking him with him to embark on their journey to the peak of the highest mountain. On their way up the mountain, Kratos and Atreus reach an overlook where they see that a protective stave was placed around the woods where they lived, but it was broken where Kratos cut down the tree adorned with Faye's handprint, which allowed the stranger to enter. While Kratos is confused as to why Faye would have him cut down the tree protecting their home, the pair nonetheless carry on. Shortly after, the pair are ambushed by a cannibalistic group called the Reavers, and Atreus is forced to kill one of them to protect himself, an act that takes a heavy toll on the boy's consciousness. Kratos tries to convince the boy that he was forced to take the man's life to protect his own, before the Reavers' corpses rise from the dead as Hellwalkers, which the pair fight and defeat again. Continuing on their way, Kratos and Atreus meet a dwarf named Brock, who claims that he and his estranged brother created Faye's Leviathan axe, presenting his brand as proof. Kratos then lets Brock improve the axe, which he is soon able to test out.
That's cool.
Further up their path, Atreus spots a strange boar, and draws his bow to practice hunting once again. After his arrow simply bounces off the animal's hide, Atreus gets after it, piercing its skin but losing Kratos after chasing it. When Kratos finds the boy, he is being scolded by a woman, known as the Witch of the Woods, who chastises the men for attempting to kill the last of the boar's kind. Kratos helps to nurse the boar before carrying it back to the witch's home. There, the witch sends Atreus to find supplies for medication, while Kratos stays behind. The woman reveals that she knows the man's true nature, as well as his son's, and she questions his decision to hide that fact from the boy. She warns Kratos that once the gods of this realm find him, they'll be in grave danger, but Kratos simply states that it's his problem to deal with. After Atreus and Kratos retrieve the materials for the medicine, the witch offers her thanks by giving them marks which will hide them from the gods. She then opens a shortcut for them to pass through before they say their goodbyes. The pair find a boat and row to the giant, central Lake of Nine, where they find a rune which Atreus translates to read, "Sacrifice your arms to the center of the water, awaken again the cradle of the world." Kratos then throws the axe into the water, awakening the giant world serpent, Jormungandr, from its deep sleep. The axe returns to Kratos, and as the serpent leaves, the water level of the lake drops, allowing the two to find the temple of the Norse god of war, Tyr, where they again meet Brock. Traversing through the temple, Kratos and Atreus emerge back on the path to the mountain, to find another dwarf, Brock's brother Sindri, who also enhances the Leviathan axe. Soon the pair are met by a large ogre, which they defeat to finally reach the base of the tall mountain. As they arrive, however, they find their path blocked by a cloud of black breath. Surprisingly, the Witch of the Woods arrives and tells them that the only thing that can clear the black breath is the light of Alfheim. She leads them back to Tyr's temple, where she shows them a room they can use to travel between the realms.
Holy.
Inside the realm travel room, the witch gives Kratos a Bifrost, an object that will allow him to travel between realms, as well as capture the light of Alfheim. Kratos places the Bifrost inside the room's pedestal, and he turns the temple and its bridge outside to travel to the realm of Alfheim. As the group pass back through the temple to emerge in Alfheim, however, the witch is suddenly pulled from the realm, and she tries to give Kratos a warning about the light, but is interrupted as the doors of the temple lock behind her. Kratos and Atreus travel towards the light of Alfheim and encounter the light and dark elves of the realm, engaged in an endless war. The pair fight through the hostile dark elves to reach the central chamber and the source of the light.
That was actually a
Kratos
hard
enters
part
the
of me, I
light,
feel like.
handing the Leviathan axe to Atreus beforehand. Inside the light, Kratos sees a vision of his journey where he hears Atreus speaking to Faye about his resentment over his father's distance towards him. Kratos then sees Faye, but before he can reach her, he is yanked out of the light by Atreus. The rattled boy yells at Kratos for how long he was inside the light. While Kratos states that he was only inside for mere moments, he looks around to see the remnants of a battle between Atreus and several of the Dark Elves. While Atreus is initially angered by his father abandoning him, the pair press on, with Kratos imbuing his bow with the power of the Light of Alfheim that's now contained in the Bifrost. Using this new ability, Atreus and Kratos are able to exit, allowing the remaining Light Elves to re-enter the area. As the pair make their way back to Tyr's temple, they are attacked by the Dark Elf King, who they are able to work together to swiftly defeat. Afterwards, Atreus asks Kratos if he saw Faye in the light, but angrily states that he wouldn't even care if he did, prompting a quick fight between the two, where Kratos reveals that he grieves in his own way. The father and son reconcile, reaching a slightly better understanding of one another. Kratos and Atreus return to the Realm Travel Room and use the Bifrost to return to Midgard, where they make their way back to the mountain. Kratos clears the Black Breath using the light inside the Bifrost, and the pair are able to make their way inside the mountain, discussing and learning about the giants of Jotunheim, who had disappeared from Midgard long ago on their way.
Chat, is HDR gonna fuck the game up? Do I have to remove HDR?
After making their way up
Pulse.
a tall shaft, being attacked by various enemies on the way, the pair are confronted by a giant dragon. While they are able to escape from it, when they leave the mountain's caverns, they find the dragon outside, attacking Sindri.
On the capture card?
Kratos battles the dragon, killing it with Atreus' help. To express his gratitude for saving him, Sindri gives Atreus a bundle of braided mistletoe arrows before asking Kratos to retrieve a tooth from the dragon, which he then uses to imbue Atreus' bow with lightning powers. Further up the mountain,
Apparently Twitch doesn't support HDR or OBS, it's gonna fuck up.
Kratos helps Atreus repair his quiver's strap using some of the mistletoe from the arrows. The pair soon spot the stranger who attacked their home, along with two other men speaking to a man with one glowing eye trapped inside of a tree growing around him. The stranger, revealed to be one of Odin's sons, named Balder, probes the man about where Kratos is headed, but the man claims to not know. After Balder and his accomplices leave, Kratos speaks to the man in the tree, who introduces himself as Mimir, the smartest man alive. Mimir reveals that the highest peak in the 9 realms isn't the mountain they're currently on, but rather one in the realm of the giants, Jotunheim. He further explains that only one bridge to Jotunheim still exists, but it is locked away with a rune that only a giant would know. Atreus states that all of the giants left Midgard long ago, but Mimir offers to help them speak with the only remaining one. Mimir then tells Kratos to cut off his head, instructing him to take it to the Witch of the Woods to have her reanimated. Before Kratos does so, Mimir warns him not to keep his secret from Atreus, as the longer he waits, the more damage he does to the boy's psyche. Kratos cuts off Mimir's head and takes it back to the witch. When he and Atreus arrive, the witch spots the boy's mistletoe arrows and demands he give them to her, which he does, before she promptly burns them and warns them about their danger. Afterwards, she helps Kratos revive Mimir's head, and the disembodied man recognizes the witch as the goddess Freya, Odin's former wife, something Kratos becomes angered at her for keeping secret, but she quickly points out his hypocrisy. Kratos and Atreus leave Freya's home once again, now with the company of Mimir, or at least his head, who asks to take him to Tyr's temple, where he can speak to the last remaining giant in Midgard, none other than the World Serpent. At the temple, Mimir blows a giant horn, summoning the World Serpent. He speaks with the giant who aligns the tower's bridge to where they need to go, the location of a magical chisel that will allow them to draw the rune that will open the gate to Jotunheim. The trio head to the corpse of the chisel's former owner, the giant Thamor. Kratos and Atreus climb the dead giant's hammer, releasing it from the chains holding it up, causing it to fall and smash through the frozen tundra below, allowing the pair to make their way to the chisel. On their way, however, they hear the voices of the two men that were with the stranger when he confronted Mimir, Modi and Magni, two sons of Odin's son Thor. While they try to avoid the two demigods, Modi and Magni soon find Kratos and Atreus, prompting a long and grueling battle. During the battle, Modi taunts Atreus by speaking ill of his mother, which causes the boy to lose control of his anger and go after him. Kratos meanwhile violently kills Magni, forcing Modi to run off in fear. Afterwards, Atreus collapses from his sickness, but the pair press on. After reaching the buried chalice, Kratos is able to break off a piece for his own use, and the pair leave, with Mimir warning Kratos that there will be repercussions for killing Thor's son. Mimir surmises that they'll be able to learn the giant's secret rune by finding it in Tyr's hidden vault, below the temple, and they head there to investigate. Using the chisel, Kratos is able to find the vault, where he and Atreus are soon ambushed by Modi. The demigod insults Faye once again, causing Atreus to lunge at him. While Modi simply smacks him aside, Atreus' rage finally boils over, and he has his own moment of Spartan rage, overwhelming him and causing him to collapse. Kratos' own rage then takes hold, and he overpowers Modi, taking his weapons and causing him to flee once again. Kratos grabs the unconscious Atreus and takes him back to Freya at Mimir's suggestion. On their way, Kratos hears someone blowing the World Serpent's horn. When he reaches Freya's hut, the witch reveals that Atreus' true nature is fighting within him, and Kratos keeping it a secret is what is causing the boy's illness. To help him, Freya sends Kratos to the realm of the dead, Helheim, to retrieve the Bridgekeeper's heart. However, due to the realm's frigid nature, Freya warns that the Leviathan axe will be useless against the enemies Kratos will face there. Knowing that Kratos must use the only weapon in the 9 realms that can create a flame, he leaves Atreus in Freya's care and returns home. On his way, Kratos witnesses a haunting vision of someone from his past, the Olympian goddess Athena, who he is able to temporarily shake. When Kratos reaches his home, he retrieves what he came for, the Blades of Chaos, which he buried underneath the house decades prior when he found that he could not escape them. Athena appears before him once again and taunts Kratos, claiming that he'll never be able to change and will forever be a monster. Kratos accepts this fate, but claims that at least he's no longer her monster. With the blades returned to his wrists, Kratos makes his way back to Tyr's temple, where he uses the realm travel room to reach Helheim. There, Mimir notices that Hel has become overwhelmed with the dead. They eventually reach the Bridge of the Damned, where Kratos fights the Bridgekeeper. After killing the large creature, he's able to rip out its heart to take back to Freya. As he goes to leave the realm, Kratos spots an illusion of his father, Zeus, beyond the bridge, but Mimir warns him not to go there, stating that Hel is known to torment its inhabitants with their pasts. On their way back to Midgard, Mimir realizes that Kratos is the legendary ghost of Sparta, and he also encourages him to tell Atreus about his true nature, stating that because Kratos hates all gods, that includes his own son, and Atreus consents it, and it will only harm their relationship the longer it's kept secret. Kratos brushes this off and returns to Freya's home. Kratos gives Freya the heart, and she tells him that the only way to fully heal Atreus is by telling him the truth. Freya then confides in Kratos and tells him about her own son, who was prophesied to die a needless death, forcing her to make a sacrifice to protect him, which only led to his resentment of her and drove him away. After Freya uses the heart to heal Atreus, the boy awakens and the pair leave,
Oh my God, what's
with
that?
Kratos giving his
What?
thanks to the witch on their way. As the father and son make their way back to Tyr's vault, Atreus
1 out of 60. 1 out of 1,000.
grows distant. Kratos asks him about this, and the boy reveals that he overheard part of his father's conversation with Freya, interpreting it to mean that Kratos is disappointed in his son for being weak. Kratos finally gives in and tells his son the truth, that he is a god from a faraway land. Kratos reveals that when he arrived in Midgard, he chose to live as a man, but in truth, he was born a god, as was Atreus. Atreus is shocked with this revelation and asks if his mother was a god as well, and Kratos responds that she was only a mortal. When asked why he waited so long to reveal the truth, Kratos tells his son that he had hoped to spare him of the lifetime of tragedy that he himself went through.
Makes sense.
On their way back to the vault, Atreus notes that he doesn't have any godly powers yet.
Wait. So, he's a wait, hold on. If a demigod is hanging out and he's fucking some girl who's a full mortal, wouldn't that make Atreus a quarter god?
But Mimir theorizes that the boy's faculty for language is one of them. The pair are finally able to descend below Tyr's temple to his vault and look for the Black Rune. In a room full of treasure from the various lands, Kratos finds a bottle of wine from his homeland, and next to it, a vase depicting his days as the god of war, which he quickly tosses aside, breaking it upon the ground.
No, I'm not gonna spoil it. I know. Okay, I get it. I know. I get it. I'm not gonna spoil it. I'll let it play.
When the pair find the
I know why
rune,
it's like
they
this.
must lower it to retrieve it. As Kratos operates the mechanism, however, he is caught in a vine-like trap. Atreus is forced to quickly solve a puzzle related to the prophesized apocalyptic event known as Ragnarok, but when he does so, spikes begin to descend from the ceiling. Atreus is then forced to use his mother's knife to jam the gears operating the spike trap, saving his father, but destroying the boy's heirloom in the process. When the pair finally reach the rune, Kratos gives Atreus a new knife, one he forged himself from metals from his own land, as well as Faye's, on the day of his son's birth, with the intention of gifting it to him when he was ready to use it. Atreus then uses the knife to retrieve the rune, and he takes note of it before the pair are attacked by a pair of two large trolls. After the battle, the pair return to the surface, and Kratos gives Atreus a drink of the wine he found from his homeland on the way. Kratos and Atreus make their way back to the gateway to Jotunheim, seeing Sindri on their way. Atreus, now arrogant and empowered by his knowledge of being a god, insults the dwarf, leaving him visibly hurt. This leads Kratos to ask how his mother would react to Atreus behaving this way, but the boy brushes it off, implying that her opinion wouldn't matter seeing as she wasn't a god. Kratos, retorting that she was better than a god, warns his son against dishonoring his mother. As they enter the caverns in the mountain, Kratos and Atreus are again stopped by Modi, now badly beaten by his father Odin, who had blamed him for his brother's death. The man collapses, and Atreus goes to kill the man for what he said about his mother. Kratos simply states that he isn't worth it, but when Modi makes one final insult towards Faye, Atreus stabs him in the neck with his new blade before kicking him off a nearby ledge. Kratos scolds the boy for killing an already defeated enemy in indulgence instead of in defense, and he further warns that there are especially consequences for killing gods. The two reach the summit of the mountain, and Atreus draws the rune on the gateway, allowing Kratos to use the chisel to trace it and open the portal to Jotunheim. Before they can enter, however, Kratos is ambushed by Baldur, and when Atreus attempts to help, he reveals that he is also a god, but is quickly overpowered. Kratos grabs Baldur and slams him into the stone gate, collapsing it and destroying their only way to Jotunheim. Atreus tries to fight, but Kratos holds him back, forcing the boy to shoot his father with one of his lightning arrows to subdue him. Atreus then rushes at Balder, stabbing him with his knife, but the invincible man simply pulls it out of his arm and plants it in Atreus's, grabbing the boy and jumping off the mountain. Kratos follows and lands on Balder's dragon, where he fights the man, eventually getting knocked off the dragon to the bridge of Tyr's temple below. Kratos runs inside the temple and reaches the realm travel room, where he finds that Balder has locked in the bridge to the realm of Asgard, the home of Odin and the other gods of his tribe. Kratos struggles to insert his Bifrost and instead locks the bridge into Helheim, where he, Atreus, and Balder are violently sucked in. There, Kratos is able to knock Balder aside, and he and Atreus land safely within the realm. After Kratos scolds his son for acting out of character, asking him to honor his mother and choose the right path, the pair work their way to a boat they can use to get back to Tyr's temple. On their way, the pair experience visions of Atreus' past, Helheim's way of torturing its inhabitants, and the boy watches how he killed Modi in shame. The pair soon find Balder reliving one of his own memories, and they learn that he is none other than Freya's estranged son. As it turns out, when she placed a spell on him to make him invincible, he was robbed not only of the feeling of pain, but also any of the pleasures of life. He begged his mother to remove the spell, but knowing it would cause her son's death, she refused. This caused Balder to strangle his mother, but at the last moment, he allowed her to live, a decision he now regrets. When Kratos and Atreus reach the boat, they begin to see visions of Kratos' past, that of his final battle with Zeus. After getting the boat to set sail upwards towards the bridge, the pair watch the memory of Kratos killing his father, and Atreus is forced to snap his father's attention back to the task at hand as the ship begins to crash. The pair jump to a nearby building, crashing through the roof and landing inside of one of Odin's secret chambers. There, Atreus finds a panel depicting Tyr somehow traveling to different lands, including Kratos' own homeland. Using the gift of sight granted to him by the giants, Mimir is able to uncover secret plans on the panel to create a key for another chamber Tyr kept hidden, which will lead them to Jotunheim. Hoping to create the key, the group head back to Brock, realizing that when Freya reanimated Mimir's head, she placed a spell on him to never speak about a relationship to Balder or what his one weakness is. When they reach Brock, he refuses to make the key, but Sindri arrives shortly after to reconcile with his brother and help forge it. Kratos and Atreus find the secret chamber and open it with the key, finding themselves below the realm travel room in a seemingly upside-down room. The pair work to break the chains holding the temple's chambers, and Kratos is able to flip it using his brute strength. When they climb back up to the realm travel room, they find what Tyr was hiding, the Unity Stone, which allowed Tyr to travel within the realm between realms to reach all of the lands he explored. Using the stone, Kratos enters the realm between realms and jumps into the void, landing safely to find the tower to Jotunheim, hidden there by Tyr to protect the realm of the giants. Inside the tower, Kratos finds a pedestal that absorbs the Unity Stone and unleashes various powerful enemies from the various realms Kratos and Atreus traveled. After the grueling battle, the pair emerge from the tower to find themselves back in Midgard, with the tower to Jotunheim returned to a location the bridge of Tyr's temple can reach. When they enter the realm travel room to lock in the bridge, however, Mimir realizes the travel crystal is missing, and in order to travel, the pair will need to find his other eye, which was taken by Odin. They ask Brock and Sindri if they know where Mimir's other eye is, and Brock reveals that Odin placed it in a statue of Thor, which Kratos and Atreus saw swallowed by the world serpent. Mimir blows the serpent's horn once again and asks if they can investigate his stomach for the eye, which the ancient giant agrees to, and the group grab their boat and row inside. There, they're able to find Mimir's eye and return it to his head. Now, with everything required to reach Jotunheim, the pair row their boat back out of the creature. On the way, however, they begin to feel massive blasts outside. Soon, the creature spits them out, and they land nearby as the world serpent falls unconscious. Freya arrives, confused as to what happened to the serpent. She claims to be looking for her son, but is surprised to find Kratos and Atreus meeting her with suspicion. Shortly after, Balder emerges from the waters nearby, shocked to find his mother with his targets. Balder threatens his mother, but Kratos steps between them, trying to tell the man that he will find no peace in vengeance. When Balder refuses to listen, another fight between the two breaks out, with Freya attempting to stop the two. Atreus attempts to stop Balder, but the man delivers a mighty punch to the boy's chest. Kratos catches his son, worried that the boy is covered in blood, which Atreus simply states isn't his. Kratos looks up to see Balder with the mistletoe from Atreus' repaired quiver lodged in his hand, with the man delighted that he can finally feel something. Nearby, Freya, realizing that the spell protecting her son had been broken by his one weakness, reanimates the corpse of the giant Thamor, which grabs them and carries them off to a new location. Balder follows, and another fight ensues, with the giddy man now enjoying the feeling of battle. While Freya continues to try to use Thamor's body to interrupt the fight, Kratos is able to gain the upper hand, eventually causing the woman to have Thamor use his frosty breath to freeze them. Atreus thinks quickly and uses his abilities to speak the old language of the giants to call upon the now awakened world serpent to take the giant's corpse out of the equation. Afterwards, Kratos begins to strangle Balder, but Atreus reminds him that he doesn't need to kill a beaten enemy. Kratos gives Balder one final warning to leave him, Atreus.
He said it right, because he's giant. He's part god, part giant type shit, right? And aren't all the giants kind of like dead or something?
And Freya alone before walking off. Baldur ignores this warning and approaches his mother, refusing to forgive her and instead begins to strangle her, which she accepts if it'll make him feel better. Kratos then grabs Baldur and quotes his father Zeus, stating, "The cycle ends here," before also stating that we must be better than this, before snapping the man's neck. In his last breath, Baldur sees the snow beginning to fall, as he finally dies his needless death. Freya rushes over to his body and promises Kratos that she will use all of her abilities to punish him for what he has taken from her. She states that Kratos is a cruel and rage-filled animal who will never change, and asks if Atreus knows the true depths of his father's past. Kratos then reveals his true history to his son, telling him about the deal he made with a god, and how it led him to killing the innocent, the guilty, and even his own father. Atreus asks if he will be cursed to kill Kratos, but the Spartan simply states that we will be the gods we choose to be, not those who have been. Freya then picks up Baldur's body and walks off without saying another word. The pair return to Tyr's temple one last time, and lock in Jotunheim in the realm travel room.
Though.
Atreus uses Mimir's head to focus the energy to travel, and the door to the realm of the giants is finally unlocked. Mimir requests that they leave him behind so the father and son can have their moment, and Kratos leaves him with Brock and Sindri at the temple. As they approach the summit of the mountain, Kratos removes the bandages covering his scars from the Blades of Chaos, claiming that he no longer has anything to hide. He then hands Faye's ashes to Atreus, allowing him to carry them the rest of the way. The pair find a room with statues depicting the giants' exodus from Midgard. They wonder why Faye sent them there, but Atreus touches a wall, revealing a large mural. The pair are shocked to see that the mural depicts Faye, as well as all of the events the father and son had lived through, including the battle that just happened. Kratos surmises that the mural depicts Atreus' story, and that he wasn't the only parent with secrets. Atreus then realizes that Faye was a giant, making him part god, part giant, and part mortal. Kratos also realizes that Baldur was never looking for him, but rather had been sent by Odin to find Faye. As Atreus continues up the mountain, Kratos spots one last panel depicting Atreus screaming in pain while holding a man's dead body. Finally, at the peak of the highest mountain in the Nine Realms, Atreus and Kratos look around.
Why? So technically he's kind of wrong about the fact that it's not the god you choose to be, it's just the god you're meant to be or whatever.
To see the remains of dead giants. Kratos, finally calling Atreus son, elects that the two scatter Faye's ashes together. The two then say their goodbyes to Faye,
we don't know
as her
yet,
remains join those of her kind. Afterwards, Atreus reveals one last thing confusing him about the mural. When translated, he was referred to by the giants as Loki. Kratos recalls that this was the name Faye wanted to give Atreus when he was born, but he elects to save this mystery for another day. Kratos and Atreus return to the realm travel room to regroup with Mimir, and as they return to Midgard, he warns that their actions have accelerated the coming of the great Fimbulwinter, which precedes Ragnarok. Atreus and Kratos return to their home and finally rest. In his sleep, Atreus sees a vision of the end of the winter years later, in which a powerful lightning storm rips apart their house. When Kratos and Atreus approach the door, they see a large, hooded figure standing outside. Kratos asks who he is, and the man simply reveals a hammer, the legendary Mjolnir, revealing that the figure is none other than Odin's son, the god of thunder himself, Thor. While this is only a vision, the pair nonetheless set forth with trying to prevent Ragnarok, with help from some familiar faces as well as new ones, while also facing opposition from those they once knew and those they'll soon meet in the next chapter of their journey, God of War, Ragnarok. Hey everybody, thanks for sticking through. This one wound up being on the longer
Boom. Done. And that's where we're at. Good timing though. 10 minutes out.